All right. Good evening, everyone. Apologies for the late start. Technical difficulties. Welcome to the County of Los Angeles Citizen Redistricting Commission special public meeting, followed by the public hearing for communities of interest input. Today is September 29th, 2021, and the time is 6:40 p.m. We will now call the special meeting and public hearing to order. As a reminder to the public, this public hearing is being recorded and live streamed to youtube.com/LA County Redistricting. The link to the recording will also be posted and accessible through the Los Angeles County Redistricting website. If at any time any members of the public has any technical difficulties, please message me, Tai Lei, and we can work towards fixing the issue. As a reminder, this meeting does have English and Spanish. So at the bottom of your Zoom screen, please select the globe and you can select which language you prefer. So I will now take the roll. As a reminder, commissioner names will be called in a rotating alphabetical order by last name. Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. Co-chair Carolyn Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Dorina Wong.
Present.
Commissioner Jean Franklin.
Present.
Commissioner David Holtzman.
Present.
Commissioner Mary Kenny.
Present.
Co-chair Daniel Maeda.
Present.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza.
Oh, I don't unmute that.
I believe Commissioner Mark Mendoza is not present. Commissioner Apolonio Morales.
Present.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
Present.
Commissioner Priscilla Orpanella Segura.
Present.
Commissioner Hylas Soto.
Present.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Presente, present.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher.
Present.
And Commissioner John Venta.
Present.
All right. A special thank you to the Clifton M Brakensiek Library and the staff for providing this space for the Los Angeles County Citizens Redistricting Commission to host this hybrid meeting. A few announcements before I hand it over to the co-chairs. Thank you again for everyone's patience with today's meeting. As typical, when we hold a meeting in a new space, we may be experiencing some technological issues, including audio issues. We will monitor the commissioner's audio to make sure that they are audible. Again, thank you for being patient as we configure these settings. This is a hybrid meeting, so participants and commissioners are able to join virtually via Zoom or in person. For those attending in person, it is important to remember and follow health safety protocols. Though Los Angeles County reopened with the rest of the state on June 15, 2021, changing conditions in the county due to the rapid spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19 has prompted new restrictions by the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. Effective July 18, 2021, the County Department of Public Health released orders requiring that all persons, regardless of vaccination status, must wear masks or face covering at all indoor public settings. So for all those attending in person, for your safety and others, please be sure you are wearing a mask that covers your nose and mouth. Social distance from others outside of your household. Wash your hands often with soap and water or use hand sanitizers. If you test positive for COVID-19 or feel symptoms after the public hearing, please contact the clerk at tle@crc.lacounty.gov so we can let individuals who signed in know of their potential risks. If you test positive for COVID-19, please home quarantine for 10 days and inform any close contacts to quarantine for at least 10 days. Contact your doctor or healthcare provider for further direction. Continue to monitor symptoms for the remainder of the 14 days and seek medical attention if symptoms escalate, including difficulties breathing or keeping fluids down. Please remain in contact with the Department of Public Health. If you are feeling symptoms, immediately quarantine for 10 days and get tested at any public health test site immediately. Contact your doctor or healthcare provider for further direction and continue monitoring symptoms for the remainder of the 14 days. Seek further medical attention if your symptoms worsen, including trouble breathing and keeping fluids down. A patient is considered to be infectious from 2 days before the symptoms started until their isolation period ends. Asymptomatic individuals with a positive COVID-19 test are considered to be infectious from 2 days before the test was taken until 10 days after their test was taken. A close contact refers to individuals who were exposed to a confirmed COVID-19 case during the infectious period. This can include individuals who were within 6 feet of the infected individual for a total of 15 minutes or more within a 24-hour period, or an individual who had unprotected contact with the patient's body fluids or secretions, including being coughed or sneezed on, sharing utensils or saliva, or providing care without wearing appropriate protective equipment. Again, just one more reminder for all those who are attending, you must select your preferred language. Click on interpretation at the bottom of your screen. It's in the shape of a globe. Select English or Spanish. You then can choose to mute original audio for a clearer interpretation. And if you do not choose a language, you will not hear the interpretation. In today's public hearing, we will have participants speaking in both English and Spanish. And a reminder for all those who are speaking, if possible, please speak slowly and clearly so that the interpreters are able to translate properly. Thank you. I will now turn the agenda over to Co-Chair Williams.
Thank you, Ty. Approval of the agenda. There are no changes to the agenda, so the agenda is approved. We will next have an update on the mapping software with a present on mapping software with official California public law database and other data sets. The presentation will be made by David Ely from Compass Demographics and Priti Mather with Arc Bridge Consultants.
So David, do you want to go first or how do you want to proceed?
I can go first with a very general description of the data that we have built and shared with Esri that should be in the software shortly. We have taken the census geography and compiled it down to RDUs, which are roughly 3,000 units. They're based on census tracts and either city or county defined communities for unincorporated areas or for the city of Los Angeles. We also have defined communities, which are, again, either incorporated cities, the counties defined unincorporated communities, and communities within the city of Los Angeles. The communities within the city of Los Angeles are not the same as the neighborhood councils because the neighborhood councils have geography that is not based on census geography, and so it's not easy to duplicate accurately. And there's also actually overlapping geography in some of the neighborhood councils, and some of them don't really reflect neighborhoods as people think of them, other than, you know, in that administrative context. We have those units, and using those units will allow people to create plans easily, which do not split cities and don't leave slivers around the edges of cities and things like that, which if you were to use purely the census geography, that would be a problem with any plans that individuals were creating. The data that we have included includes the adjusted population and voting age population, which is the data from the Census Bureau, adjusted by the statewide database to reflect the reallocation of incarcerated population to their most recently known address. We have also included citizen voting age population, and in that case, we did not use the adjusted data from the statewide database. There's assumptions that were made in the reallocation based on the citizenship or non-citizenship of prisoners that don't really have any basis. And since the citizen voting age data is included largely because that is the basis of data analysis for voting rights litigation, we wanted to have data that is going to be consistent with what the courts use regularly. So we used unadjusted citizen voting age population from the Census Bureau, broken down by the Department of Justice categories. In addition, we have data that came from the statewide database again. The 2020 registration totals broken down by surname match categories. So there's surname matches for Spanish surnames and 6 Asian nationalities. So there's summary data by RDU for the number of registered voters in each of those categories. In addition to that, we have a relatively small number of tables from the American Community Survey, greatly simplified so that they're usable easily in the redistricting software context. The tables include language spoken at home, which could be Spanish, an Asian language, unspecified, or some other language. We also have occupied housing units broken down by renter occupied and owner occupied. We have income categories, basically I believe 4 categories, so that you have a lower income category, an income that's just below the median income, a category that's just above the median income, and then a high income category. We have education categories based on high school diplomas and college degrees of any kind. And then we have information about households with incomes above or below poverty for the previous year. And again, all of these are very simplified tables from what is available in the American Community Survey in order to make them easily usable in the software. The only real essential data in the redistricting software is the total population, which has to be equalized. So a person who wants to draw districts based purely on their knowledge of the geography and the communities and things like that, they need the total population in order to make districts that are appropriate size. All of these other data categories are things that might be used for legal analysis, or they might be used to supplement a person's knowledge of the areas that they're assigning, and are provided in a form that can easily be summarized by district. And then a great deal of other information is available that will be provided as reference layers so that people can look at the distribution of data on the maps, but it won't be automatically summarized by district for a user. And with that, I will turn it back.
So I believe this is an opportunity for commissioners if they have any questions for David or Priti. We also have the DOJ classifications for ethnic race. If you want to see them, I can put them up.
So we have Commissioner Holtzman, then Commissioner Stetcher, then Commissioner Sider-Soto.
All right. 2 things. One, you mentioned that the census geographies, if we were to use them, could leave slivers of cities not assigned with their cities. Does that mean that these RDUs you've created to address that incorporate some pieces that are not whole census blocks or tracts that are not actually census geography pieces?
No, the census blocks are all nested within cities, but the census block groups and tracks and other levels
Mhm,
are not nested within cities.
mhm.
And so the only way that if you're using the census geography, the only way that you avoid creating splits along the cities is to actually operate at the census block level. You may be able to use other levels to do selections, but the cities are not part of the census hierarchy. And so it's very easy for users to make assignments that will split the edges of the city. Often census tract boundaries and city boundaries are near each other, but are not the same. So that's one of the primary things that the RDUs are designed to do.
So the RDUs use whole census blocks. They don't split blocks.
That's correct.
So when I'm using the software now, as I have been, the redistricting online, I can identify a city using the identify place function, and then I can assign that city to a district using the assign to button, having selected the district up above. Is that an accurate way to assign a city to a district, or is that also risking slivers on being unassigned?
That should work properly for incorporated cities,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't have any recognition of the unincorporated communities the way that the county has defined them and uses in administration. And also it's, again, you would be working at the census block level using those tools to select it.
Mhm.
So it's a much slower and more complicated process.
All right, not well, that's slow when you identify a whole city at once. But okay, anyway, my other question is about the socioeconomic data from the American Community Survey. How can we use those data? Like, let's say I wanted to select all the census blocks, tracts within a region that were 30% or more renter occupied. Could I do that type of a search, or would I be just getting a summary statistic of whatever it was I'd selected after I selected it?
You should be able to do a shading of the geographic units so that you would be able to visually identify the pieces that did that. I don't know that there would be tools for actually selecting them other than being able to identify them visually and select them with your pointer.
Select them manually. Okay, but you can do the shading. Yeah, okay, I don't think I've learned the shading tricks yet. I look forward to that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next, we have Commissioner Stetcher, then Commissioner Saida Soto, and then Commissioner Wong.
Thank you. On your slide, which is no longer visible, there were some notes about when these data will be available, and would you or Pretty please talk about what we now think is the schedule for making these available and launching the final useful database?
I think, Gayla, this is a question that I think you would address.
So I will share with the commissioners and the public that this process has not been as easy as we had anticipated. We just got new data updates from Berkeley on Monday. We waited patiently till September 20th. They had to make some adjustments. ESRI requires more time. That's why we are looking at a launch sometime next week. I'm meeting again with ESRI. ESRI was not able to make a commitment when we met on Wednesday or Tuesday, and they've asked for us to meet again on Friday with a Gantt chart of all the tasks that need to be completed. We're really pushing for Wednesday as the launch so we can announce it at the press conference the next day. And all I can say is there've been some corrections that have had to be made to both the software, the update from Berkeley, the reconfiguration of these RDU overlays to be added. But we are on target for sometime next week, and I'm hoping by Wednesday. I
Thank
also just want to mention the other point, Brian, is we will be doing training on the mapping software in Spanish on October 8th at 9:30 to 10:30.
We have Commissioner Sider Soto, then Commissioner Wong.
David, perhaps this question is related or even the same as Commissioner Holtzman's question. You mentioned that neighborhoods aren't represented as people think of them, except for maybe administratively. I don't quite understand that. Can you maybe give an example of what that means, or expand on that?
That was a reference to the neighborhood councils in the city of Los Angeles. And a lot of the neighborhood councils are based on neighborhoods, the way that people perceive them. But a lot of them were also the product of sort of political organization within city council districts. And so there are, in certain areas of the city, there are neighborhood councils with names like Empowerment Congress Southeast, rather than, you know, a name of a community that an ordinary person would recognize. And so what the county has done in the past, working with the Bureau of Engineering in the city of Los Angeles, is try to map communities in ways that that are generally used to refer to those communities. And most of them are very similar to what the neighborhood councils are, but they're not exactly the same. And they have definitions which are more based on census tracts and block groups rather than the basically arbitrary boundaries of the neighborhood councils.
Very helpful. Thank you so much.
And if I may also just chime in here, they're going to be using these other configurations for drawing the maps. We will be requesting that ArcBridge do a check on your options and your recommended against the neighborhood councils to make sure none of them are split up, because as you recall, you've had input that neighborhood councils wanted those kept separate. I'm going to suggest, if it's okay, we have one more commissioner. Let's have that be the last question. We have quite a few people who are here to make public comment, and we do want to start that co-chairs as close as we can to 7 o'clock. So I believe Commissioner Wong, if you don't mind being the last comment on this, and if you want, we can clearly have David Ely return for further elaboration, but I wanted you to get the latest information.
Okay, thank you. And this can be quick, I think. And maybe David could even, can even send the information. I just was interested in what the Asian nationalities were, and maybe the Asian languages, the different specific languages. And David, I know you don't have to list them right now, but if you could just share that with us so that we would know what they were when we were trying to look at the maps or trying to map things out, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
So are you going to provide some comment, or are you going to?
Well, I can list what the surname nationalities are that are included. That would be Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Filipino, excluding Spanish surnames, and Indian and Vietnamese. In terms of the languages spoken, and so I would have to look at the census documentation to get what is included in all of that. But I can provide that as well.
Okay, thank you. That would be helpful. Yeah, I know there's a lot of lists, so whatever, list of languages, I know you might not be able to include all of them, but I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So co-chairs, I believe we should proceed with the public presentation and move on to the public hearing if you're comfortable with that.
Yes, let's do that.
And I will mention that the library has a restriction of 17 people in this room. So I'm going to request, we're sort of exceeding the capacity, that some individuals may need to wait in the corridor for COVID safety precautions. And with that,
Thank you. Let's begin the public hearing portion of this meeting. We are certainly eager as a commission to hear from the public, to receive your input. I know there's many folks here in the room with us and waiting outside, just outside, and there may be some online as well. But before we begin that process, we want to briefly go over a little bit about what redistricting is and what our process is here. Next slide. So we have a new process for redistricting in 2021 with LA County. Next slide. In the past, the Board of Supervisors hand-selected a committee to review the census data and to provide input onto what the mapping should look like, the district should look like. But the county, the Board of Supervisors, was able to reject the recommendations of the committee and draw their own maps. This year, for the first time, there's state legislation which provides for an independent Citizens Redistricting Commission comprised of 14 citizens of the county, reasonably reflective of the county's diversity, who are going to draw the boundaries, who are going to draw the lines. We are completely independent of influence from the Board of Supervisors. In fact, we've adopted bylaws that make it improper for any commissioner to have any contact with a supervisor, the supervisor's family, staff, or agents. And that is something we jealously guard. Next slide. We have adopted values as well to govern our process. The values are accountability, transparency, objectivity, integrity, and inclusion and equity. And we have further explanation of these values posted on our website at redistricting.lacounty.gov. Please take a look at that website for additional information about the process of redistricting. You can even include your email address, and you'll receive regular updates on our process. Next slide. Next, we're going to talk briefly about the significance and the diversity and the size of LA County and how that impacts the redistricting process. Next slide. Redistricting is very important. Every 10 years, there's a new census that outlines where the people of the United States live. And in California, we have data on the census for where people have moved or reside in the state. And there is a statewide redistricting commission that is going to draw the boundaries for the congressional seats, the state Senate and state assembly districts. There's also some local redistricting going on. LA City has a process as well to draw city council districts. Our charge, though, is limited to the LA County Board of Supervisors only. We get to draw 5 districts, 5 districts for the supervisors, and that's what our charge is. Next slide. Redistricting is important because there's an enormous amount of money, resources, and services that are provided in each supervisorial district. There's also policing and fire service. Incorporated areas sometimes contract with LA County Sheriff and Fire for protection. And each supervisor has an enormous degree of influence in allocating funds. And so it's really important who you select to be your supervisor. And that's what we take that process very seriously because of the importance of that particular vote. Next slide. LA County is very complex and very populated. As you know, it's about 10 million people. A full quarter of the population of California resides right here in LA County. It's the 3rd largest metropolitan economy in the world, and it's comprised of 88 cities and over 100 unincorporated areas. And as we all know, it's one of the most ethnically diverse U.S. counties. Next slide. This slide shows you the map of the current 5 supervisorial districts. You'll see the areas in pink that are unincorporated, and the areas in white are incorporated cities. You'll notice right away that District 5 is enormous in size as compared to, let's say, District 2 in the center of the city. Why is that? It's because each district needs to have roughly the same number of people, and District 5 being more sparsely populated than District 2 requires a lot more geography in order to accumulate the 2 million people or so that each district will have. Next slide. And next, we're going to talk a little bit about an overview of the redistricting process. And for this, I'll turn the mic over to Co-Chair Williams.
Thank you, Co-Chair Maeda. We want to go through, there are 5 criteria that we follow in terms of priority when we're drawing district lines. The first one is each district must be reasonably equal in total population. In LA County, there's approximately 10 million people. So we're looking at each county basically having 2 million people each. Next, districts must comply with the Federal Voting Rights Act. Basically, it says the Voting Rights Act prohibits discrimination, racial discrimination in voting. Each district should be geographically contiguous, meaning they have to be connected. The fourth one, we look at the geographic integrity of cities, local neighborhoods, and community of interest. And basically, our role is, as much as possible, to keep each of those in one district. And that's why we've been holding the public hearings to make sure we can get that information and feedback from you. And to the extent practical, we want to make sure that each district is what we call compact. So I'll go through each one a little bit more. Thank you. So when we're saying basically equal in population, again, we count people every 10 years. The census counts people every 10 years. Lines redistricting takes place every 10 years based on the count. And basically what our role is in redistricting is about making sure that each district is relatively equal with approximately 2 million people each. Next slide. When we're looking at giving racial and ethnic groups a fair shot, what we're talking about is giving each group a chance to elect a candidate of their choice. And we're talking about a candidate that understands and responds to the needs of that district. And we're going to look a little bit more at that. Next slide. Here's an example of how redistricting can take away minority voting rights. What we have here is basically 4 districts. One of the criteria, equal in population. There are 4 people in each district. These 4 could be representing 250,000. We don't know, but for our example, but they're equal districts. Also, if we look at this, there's 1 person of color in each district. So the question is, does this meet the Voting Rights Act? Next slide, please. The Voting Rights Act may require drawing what we call a majority minority district if a minority group is geographically compact, politically cohesive, and large enough to be a majority within a district. And here we're looking at the same example, and we now have created what we call a majority minority district in the central district. Each district is still equal in population. But what we have in the central district is a population of 75% majority minority. It is large enough to create that type of district. It is geographically compact, politically cohesive, and geographically contiguous, meaning it's all connected. Next slide. When we look at drawing districts, we're looking at whether or not they're contiguous. And contiguous means, are they geographically connected? In the first example, in this district, it is connected. If we look at the second district, we see there's a portion of it at the bottom that is not connected. So that district would not be the type, it would not represent the type of districts we'll be drawing. Next slide. Again, we want to make sure that we preserve the geographic integrity of cities, neighborhoods, and communities. And here we're looking at what's called communities of interest. And we said, again, minimize the division. We want to keep them as much as possible in one district. Community of interest is a contiguous population. It's connected geographically, shares common social and economic interests that should be included within a single district for purposes, again, for effective and fair representation. Communities of interest shall not include relationships with political parties. It's not about a political party. It's not about incumbents, and it's not about political candidates. It's about understanding the types of interests that creates connected communities. It could be financial, it could be language, it could be culture, it could be local issues such as pollution, traffic, homelessness, could be even issues such as lack of services, numbers of seniors in the district, perhaps even safety. But one of the things we've been doing over the last, this is our 12th public hearing, is getting that information from you, because again, it's important for us as a commission to make sure we're keeping communities of interest in one district. And again, the intention is to elect a representative who can be responsive and understand the needs of that district. Where do we draw the lines? We want to make sure it's compact, and compact as much as possibly geographically compact. If we look at the second and third examples, it's contorted and it's dispersed. Our goal is to create as much as possible compact districts. Next slide. Here we're looking at something called gerrymandering. Historically, lines have been drawn to exclude minority communities by limiting their ability to vote for their candidate of choice. When we're drawing lines, let's look at what we refer to as proportionality. In this example, there are 60% yellow, 40% green in terms of voters. If you look at the second example, it's been gerrymandered. Each district is equal in population. However, the yellow always wins. Green, which is proportionately 40%, does not have a chance to win. If we look at the third example, again, each district is equal in size, but it's been gerrymandered so that the green district wins the majority of the time. It does not represent proportionally the voters in those areas. Next slide. Here is where we're looking at examples of fair representation, proportionate to the electorate. Each of the districts are equal in size in terms of proportionality, 60% yellow, 40% green. In the middle example, each district, again, equal in size. You're able to have 60% yellow, 40% green, and the same in the third example. Even though the districts look different, proportionately, you still have the same result, 60% yellow and 40% green. Next slide. So what can you do? You're here, you're on the phone, you've been involved. Again, this is our 12th community of interest public hearing. We've gone to each of the 5 districts to make sure we can hear from you. They've been hybrid. We've done them by Zoom. And now we're moving to the process. Once we've gotten the communities of interest information from you, you can start redistricting, submitting redistricting maps. Our goal is to take the information we've received from you to start to look at creating maps ourselves. There is free software available. There is training in English and Spanish and other languages to help you understand how to not only draw your maps, but how to submit them. In September, we'll be reviewing maps, but we'll also start redrawing our own maps. November will be the month we'll have additional public hearings for you to provide input on the maps that we are considering. And by December 15th, Our goal and our commitment is to adopt the LA County maps for the 5 supervisorial districts. And again, we'd like you to continue participating. Sign up online at redistricting.lacounty.gov. I think that's provides that information on redistricting. And now the public hearing for communities of interest is open.
And co-chairs, we have 9 speaker cards in the room. We normally do the speaker cards in the room, followed by speakers who are available virtually. The first one will be Sebastian Ramirez, and Twyla can raise her hand. There's a laptop. If you go there, you can speak and the people virtual can see you and the people in the room can see you. We do have interpreters. For those who are online, if you hit the little globe at the bottom, you can choose English or Spanish. For those individuals in the room, if you log on your phone, you should be able to get access to the Spanish interpreter if you would like.
And we'll have
I'm just confirming, co-chairs, we're doing 2 minutes, yes?
2 minutes, correct,
Okay, and then if it's requires translation, we'll do 4 minutes.
correct.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Sebastian Ramirez. I am a member of CHIRLA and a proud child of immigrants from East Rancho Dominguez, also known as East Compton. I've been a resident of this community for 17 years and counting, with my city being an unincorporated sector of Los Angeles County and a census-designated area. My neighborhood is located between the 710 on the south and 105 freeway on the east side. There's approximately 15,114 residents in East Compton, and it is above all else a residential area. The type of housing that's most common in my community is small single-family homes, such as homes and rentals, which includes apartment complexes such as Section 8 housing. For any commerce and jobs, residents have to travel to the cities surrounding East Compton, like Los Angeles and El Segundo. There is a small industrial area near downtown Compton, just outside East Compton, along South Alameda Street. In this area, there are car shops, recycling glass, glass making shops, and metal manufacturing. The language spoken in my community is primarily Spanish, with the predominant race and ethnicity of my neighborhood being Latino and African American. The type of people who live in my community are poverty-stricken, marginalized, working-class individuals and families. The type of work available to my community is overwhelmingly manual labor, such as construction work, gardening, domestic work, and essential work, such as grocery store clerk at our local Northgate, and the best tamaleria in the world, by the way, Tamaleria La Doña. The largest employers in my community are construction and warehouses. My community is similar to the following neighborhoods or cities: Compton, Linwood, Southgate, Paramount, Willowbrook, and part of Long Beach along the 710, 105, and 1. These communities share similar socioeconomic backgrounds, issues, and core values. Our neighborhoods are made up of hardworking immigrant people with a very tight-knit sense of community that will never turn a blind eye and always help each other out. My community is different from Downey, Lakewood, Cerritos, and Torrance.
So time is up.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And let me just mention to everyone here, if you have written comments, you're more than welcome to also send them to us if you haven't been able to cover everything, or you just want to provide it, we'll make it all available to the commissioners.
Thank you.
So thank
Thank
you. Next is Maria Guadalupe Collin. Sebastian, you want my card? Email your.
Ready?
Yes, you may begin.
Hola, comisionados. Mi nombre es Lupe Colín y soy un miembro de CHIRLA. Mi comunidad es un pueblo inmigrante de Whittier que me enorgullece llamar mi hogar por los últimos 31 años. Mi comunidad está ubicada
Okay,
en los
I'm going to
freeways-
stop this for 1 second if I may.
for señales.
We're going to have to do this in the old-fashioned way, interpreters. I think you're going to have to allow Maria to say a little bit, then she'll pause, and then you interpret so that the people in the room can hear it. So we're going to do it. Yes, yes, if you, do you want to recap what Maria's covered? Maybe we can start the clock again since we're having to do this again. Okay.
Ajá.
Okay, so ready to start?
Okay.
Bueno.
Ajá, dejar espacio. Okay, ready? Okay. Hola, comisionados. Mi nombre es Lupe Colín y soy miembro de Chirla. Mi comunidad es un pueblo inmigrante de Whittier que me enorgullece llamar mi hogar por los últimos 31 años. Mi comunidad está ubicada entre los freeways 605 y el 5 Oeste. Las calles principales son Telegraph, en Slauson y la Whittier Boulevard.
Ty, put up zip code 90606.
No. 05, 06. Los idiomas que se hablan en Whittier son principalmente el español y la mayoría somos latinos. El tipo de personas que viven en mi comunidad son pobres, trabajadoras, apenas están sobreviviendo. Pocos son gente de clase media, pero ellos tienden a ser ya retirados. El tipo de trabajo disponible para la comunidad es warehouse, restaurantes en mi vecindario. El tipo de vivienda es más común en mi comunidad, casas y pocos departamentos. La mayoría son dueños de casa y pocos rentan. Aunque muchos son dueños de casas, con los sueldos que hay, las familias que viven en Whittier no pueden sobrevivir ni tener su propia casa. Los trabajadores esenciales tal vez ganan 300 a la semana. Todo el salario se les está gastando en el cuidado de niños y no alcanza para pagar la renta ni sus necesidades. Necesitamos que nuestros representantes locales traigan soluciones para la gente pobre y trabajadora que vive en mi comunidad. Los tipos de servicios comunitarios están disponibles, es el Senior Center, la librería. Hay programas que se ofrecen en el verano en la ciudad. Estos programas son clases de natación, pero estas cuestan dinero, que es mucho para la clase media. Las clases de fútbol son ofrecidas por una organización llamada Iguazú. Años anteriores, el costo era de $50. Ahora el costo es aproximadamente más de $100. Es importante que mi comunidad mantenga una unidad porque nos preocupamos por temas de inmigración, falta de vivienda, acceso de educación y cuidado de niños laborales. Gracias por la
time is up.
oportunidad de hablar hoy.
Thank you.
And I see Commissioner Orbanela Segura, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a clarifying question. Not sure if I should ask it English or Spanish.
Spanish is better.
Okay. Gracias, señora María, por su pregunta. Quería saber con qué comunidades usted se identifica.
Las comunidades principalmente son con los hispanos o latinos. Ok, las ciudades que están cerca son Norwalk, Santa Fe Spring, Bell Gardens, Bellflower, Pico Rivera.
What was the last one?
Pico Rivera.
Pico Rivera.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Next up, Eva Acadina. Acadina. And it's zip code 91770. 91770.
Buenas tardes, señores comisionados. Mi nombre es Eva Ocapiña y soy miembro de Chirla. Y soy una inmigrante que vivo en Rosemead. He vivido en esta comunidad más de 25 años. En mi vecindario está ubicado, según yo, el mapa que hice aquí, entre las calles Lower Azusa al norte y en el lado sur, en la calle Rush y Temple City. Temple City en el lado oeste y la Walnut Grove Avenue y Marshall al oeste. ¿Todo? No. Y la Walnut Grove Avenue y la Marshall al oeste. Hay aproximadamente 54,000 residentes en Rosemead. Y es principalmente un área comercial porque tenemos muchas tiendas y negocios. Pero sí, pero estos negocios no más son muchos restaurantes, o sea que hay que comer mucho. Pero el tipo de vivienda es más común en mi comunidad, son apartamentos de 2 o 3 cuartos y casas. Los idiomas que hablamos en Rosemead principalmente son español y el inglés. Y las razas que se ven más en mi comunidad son orientales, como chinos, coreanos y otros. Y también hispanos. El tipo de personas que viven en mi comunidad son de clase baja trabajadora. Y el tipo de trabajo disponible para comunidad son trabajos de restaurantes, tiendas, cuidado de niños y ancianos. y también trabajadores de casa y jardineros, pero estos trabajos los encuentran fuera de la comunidad de Rosemead. El empleador más grande de mi comunidad es el Correo, la Walmart y Target. Los tipos de servicios comunitarios que están disponibles en mi vecindario son las bibliotecas, como la biblioteca de Rosemead, escuelas para los niños de ABC, también hay escuelas elementales y la high school de Rosemead. También tenemos servicios de salud mental y centros para ancianos. Aquí en mi comunidad hay parques como el Parque de Rosemead y Lugo Park. Necesitamos clínicas
time is up.
comunitarias. Y lo más cercano está en el monte. Y no tenemos...
Thank you very
Time is
much.
So
Okay.
Commissioner Orpanella Segora's hand is up for Eva Acopina.
Oh, creo que le tienen una pregunta. Si puede regresar.
Sorry.
Commissioner Orpanella Segura.
Sí, gracias, señora. Una pregunta, en su opinión, ¿qué comunidad o ciudad son similares a la de usted?
La ciudad de El Monte, West Covina, La Puente, Baldwin Park, Temple City. Son las más similares. West Covina.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
I might mention to all of the public speakers, one question that the commissioners really want to hear are what communities are similar to yours. So your descriptions of your communities are very important, but we also want to know what other communities are similar. So keep that in mind when you present. Would you like to translate, Lucy, and then I'll call the next speaker. Jonathan J. Williams is next, zip code 90022, East Los Angeles. Testing. Jonathan, are you speaking in English or Spanish?
English.
All right, so we'll need to still go slow. You'll speak in English and then we'll have it translated into Spanish, okay? Lucy and Alex, are you okay with that? So Jonathan, you'll give a bit of information, let them translate, then proceed with the next piece of information.
Okay,
Okay.
I have a poem piece. Hello, commissioners. My name is Jonathan Williams, prominent resident of East Los Angeles and a member of Chirla. I've lived in the community some 22 years and 6 months. Immigrants who raised my parents' parents lived here longer than just some. Raised in the largest CDP in America, home to approximately 121,000 civilians. The predominant Latino and the unincorporated East Los responds common knowledge ubiquitous to Spanish and English phonics, Spanglish. Our community warmly welcomes all languages, and like that of other residences, East Los Angeles prides its growth through the hope of its representatives. From nonprofits to aunties digging in their pockets, to boys and girls clubs, gardening, to after school.
Un momento,
Yes.
la intérprete debe estar en el canal de español.
Oh. Correct. Well, and I'm also feeling bad because Jonathan's prepared a poem and I think we're interrupting the rhythm of his poem by
Yeah, it's
having.
muted.
Huh?
It's muted on the screen.
But it's coming through the
Okay.
system. They are hearing you out there. Why don't we let Jonathan just do his poem in English and then you do the simultaneous? Would that work for everyone in the room? Lucy, why don't you ask? Okay, so you just read in English. She will do simultaneous interpretation for your last 2 minutes to everybody in Zoom. Everybody in the room can see you and you share the written document with me and we'll post it.
Thank
Okay.
you. From nonprofits to aunties digging in their pockets, to boys and girls clubs, gardening, to after-school tools and programs for pupils. Our East LA thrives in civil rights, immigration, environmental justice, policing, workers' rights, access to an education, healthcare, and housing are all critical to continue keeping East Los Angeles and its sister neighborhoods, City of Terrace, Boyle Heights, and Lincoln Heights together in one district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Samantha Barrientos, zip code 90022, East Los Angeles.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Samantha, and I am a member of Chirla. I am a child of immigrants from East LA, and I lived in the community for the past 18 years. East Los Angeles is currently unincorporated, and it is located within the following neighborhoods: Hazard, Maravilla, Wellington Heights, and City Terrace. These are the neighborhoods that make up East LA. There are approximately 121,000 residents in East LA, and it is primarily a residential area and small shops owned by small business owners. The type of housing that's most common in my neighborhood is rental homes, mobile homes, small and large single-family homes, apartments, and duplexes. The main freeways that surround us are the 710, the 60, and the 5. The main streets around my community are on Whittier Boulevard, Atlantic, South Arizona Avenue, and South Mednick Avenue, East 3rd Street, and East Olympic Boulevard. The languages that we speak are primarily English and Spanish, and it is predominantly Latino. The type of work that my community neighbors work in are the following: construction, mothers running certified daycare homes right out of their own homes, caring for the children of the neighborhood, because some of the mothers have to hop on a bus, and go to another community to take care of other children who aren't theirs. Around my community, besides having really hardworking and dedicated individuals, there are a lot of parents who are also dedicated to volunteering in their children's schools, such as the schools that I attended, Griffith, Hamasaki, and Garfield. The higher education that we have available to us is East Los Angeles College and Cal State LA. The majority of spaces that we have for recreation would be Belvedere Park, Salazar Park, and the East LA Library. There is a lack of intentional community involvement in resources and ability to create generational wealth. And because of this, we need a representative who actually willingly listens, like the one that we currently have now. Even though my community has a lot to work on, I know that we have a good support system for it. It is important that my community sticks together because we care about immigration, homelessness, policing, and access to education. By keeping the following neighborhoods of East LA, Hazard, Belvedere, Maravilla, and Wellington Heights, our representatives can continue to be champions for these issues in our immigrant communities.
Time is up. Okay, Ann Miramar, 90006.
Hola, comisionados. Mi nombre es Ana Miriam Castro y soy miembro de Chirla. Soy un inmigrante que vive en Los Ángeles. He vivido, perdón, he vivido en la comunidad durante 36 años. El vecindario está ubicado en el lado sur, Olympic Boulevard, y en el lado norte, en Wilshire Boulevard. Mi comunidad es principalmente una área residencial y comercial. El tipo de vivienda que es más común en mi comunidad son casas grandes, que están divididas en 3 unidades, en donde viven 3 o más familias. También tenemos edificios antiguos que se rentan a la comunidad. Los idiomas que se hablan en Los Ángeles son principalmente español, coreano e inglés. La raza y etnia predominantes son coreanos, hispanos y anglosajones, y una pequeña de afroamericanos. El tipo de personas que viven en mi comunidad son clases trabajadoras, clase media baja. El tipo de trabajo que hay en mi comunidad es en costura, trabajadores de la construcción, trabajadores domésticos, vendedores ambulantes y empleados de supermercados y tiendas. Los tipos de servicios comunitarios que están disponibles en mi vecindario son las bibliotecas de Pico Union y Salvation Army, en donde hay servicios sociales y despensa de alimentos. Mi comunidad es similar a las siguientes ciudades en Pico Union, porque tenemos los mismos problemas y aquí vive gente trabajadora. Mi comunidad es diferente a los siguientes barrios: El Monte, Southgate y Silver Lake. Yeah. Perdón. Gracias por la oportunidad de hablar hoy.
Thank you.
And Anna and others, I have my card if you want to email me. Or Karen Diaz will coordinate. Karen Diaz will coordinate for Chirla. Okay, but you can also email me. But Karen, you'll be the lead. Thank you very much.
I also see Commissioner Satter Soto. Your hand is up.
I may have missed the opportunity already, but if our young leaders from the 90022 are still in the room, I'd like to hear from them about what other communities they may relate or connect East Los Angeles with.
So are you referring to
The young poet and the
Samantha
young,
Barrientos
yes,
and also Jonathan Williams from East LA?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Gayla.
I think Jonathan had mentioned some already. City Terrace and Lincoln Heights, I believe, but so Samantha's going first.
That would be the communities on the map are known as Hazard, Belvedere, Maravilla, Wellington Heights, and City Terrace.
And are there others that you may consider as different, where you just don't share interest with?
That would be Montebello and Monterey Park, which is typically upper class. Their economy is typically better than ours, and they are homeowners for the majority.
Okay, Jonathan, same question.
City of Terrace, Boyle Heights, and Lincoln Heights.
Okay.
Thank you both.
So the next speaker is Elizabeth Keltz, zip code 9005, Koreatown.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Elizabeth Ketz y hola, Leonardo, mi nombre es Elizabeth Ketz y soy miembro de Chirla. Soy una inmigrante yucateca y estoy muy involucrada en una variedades de actividades como ayudar a nuestra comunidad a que se vacunen contra el COVID-19 y mi vecindario es Koreatown. He vivido en la comunidad desde el 2001 y llevo 20 años viviendo aquí. Mi primera comunidad de interés está en Koreatown, alrededor de ciudades como Westlake, North, Sur, MacArthur Park, Rampart, Villegas, el consumidor salvadoreño y Wilshire Park. O corredor salvadoreño. Wilshire Park. Mi vecindario está ubicado entre las principales autopistas o en calles de 6 y Vermont 7, Vermont 8, Vermont, Wilshire y Vermont 8 y Hoover. Al lado hay aproximadamente 240 residentes en Koreatown y es principalmente una área residencial urbana y comercial. El, oh, sorry. Y principalmente en la área residencial, urbana y comercial, el tipo de vivienda es más común en mi comunidad, es apartamento, casas móviles, estudios, y también he visto cómo mi comunidad ha sido afectada durante esta pandemia. Sorry. Esta epidemia y muchos se han movido. Pues hay personas que, que murieron o se quedaron sin hogar, se movieron y sin hogar porque perdieron su trabajo y no tienen permiso de trabajo para conseguir con un mejor pago, o simplemente me encontraron recursos para la ayuda mental y recayeron en las calles.
Time is up.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Next is Angeles Rosales, zip code 90011, Sur Centro, South Central.
Sur Centro. Buenas noches. Hola, comisionados. Mi nombre es Ángeles Rosales. Soy miembro de CHIRLA. Soy una inmigrante de la ciudad de Sur Centro y he vivido por más de 18 años. Mi comunidad está ubicada para el norte del Freeway 110, al sur Florence. Hay aproximadamente 75,000 residentes en la ciudad de Sur Centro. Sí, mi comunidad es un área residencial, industrial y pobre. Mi comunidad mayormente viven, hay puros apartamentos y casas. Los idiomas que se hablan mayormente son español, el 80%. Son afroamericanos y latinos. Mayormente es de clase muy pobre, trabajadora. La gente trabaja en costura y fábricas de ropa, así como trabajadoras de casa. Los tipos de servicios comunitarios son bibliotecas y centros comunitarios. Necesitamos acceso a más bibliotecas, ya que en nuestra comunidad solo hay 2 bibliotecas cercas, que es la Junípero y la Central. No hay trabajo en nuestra comunidad y por eso tenemos una alta población que es pobre. Hay muchísimo desplazamiento en nuestra comunidad por las grandes empresas constructoras
que compran los terrenos y hace departamentos de lujos que no son accesibles a nuestra comunidad. Nuestra comunidad debe de ser escuchada y también que no sea dividida y que sea incluida en el distrito 2 de supervisores. Ha habido en nuestra comunidad actos terroríficos planeados por la policía y también hay muchísima violencia en nuestra comunidad. Necesitamos muchísimos recursos ya que ha habido una explosión y que ha dejado a nuestros niños traumados por esos actos terroríficos. Mi comunidad es similar a Expo USC, University Park, Florence, South Park y Alameda Central. Mi comunidad es diferente a Culver City porque en esta ciudad nosotros no tenemos suficientes recursos ni trabajos tampoco. Nuestra comunidad debe ser escuchada y no debe de ser dividida. En nuestro distrito 9 manteniendo los vecindarios
up.
Expo USC. Gracias. Es que queremos que el distrito, queremos que no se han mantenido los siguientes vecindarios: Expo USC, University Park, Florence, South Park en Alameda Central. En un solo distrito.
The next speaker is Antonia, zip code 91032 El Monte.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Hola, yo me llamo Antonia Camarillo y soy miembro de Chirla. Vivo en la comunidad de El Monte por 17 años, donde mayormente latina parlamentablemente. La comunidad en El Monte, ubicada en la calle Ramona Boulevard y el norte en la calle Valley Boulevard. Está en la Durfee y al sur Freeway. Principales son 60, 50 y 10. Los freeways son a 60, 605 y 10. 10. Mi comunidad vive ubicada, vive en fábricas locales, en trabajos, manos de otras como construcción, de limpieza, casas. Jardinería, y yo y mis vecinos vivimos en trailers porque la única vivienda accesible que podemos pagar
el dueño, en nuestra comunidad no se preocupa por nosotros. Si algo pasa, así tenemos que vivir bajo esas condiciones, porque es lo único que podemos pagar. Para comprar tenemos el SOANMI, familias, beneficios de la educación pública. Tengo nietos, uno está en high school y otro va a entrar a la high school. Mi familia son de bajos recursos y no tenemos beneficios, recursos como acceso al lonche gratis, los niños y jóvenes, pero necesitamos recursos. Mi comunidad es similar a los siguientes barrios de Baldwin Park y La Puente. Mi comunidad es diferente a las ciudades West Covina, Monrovia. Esa comunidad tiene que más que de alta necesidad. Si me permite decir lo que me ha dolido de mi ciudad del Monte es que han cortado todos los árboles en esta temporada de mucho calor y todos los han cortado y mis calles ya se ven muy solas, muy tristes y pues no hay nadie a quien acudir para que nos ayuden sobre de eso. Gracias. Gracias.
I have no more speaker cards. I'll turn it over to Ty Bailey, our clerk, for the individuals who are in Zoom who would like to speak.
All right, so just again, another reminder for all participants, you must select your preferred language. You can do that by clicking on the interpretation button, which is the shape of the globe at the bottom of your screen. Select English or Spanish, and then you can choose to mute original audio for a clearer interpretation. If you do not choose a language, you will not hear the interpretation. And again, as a reminder for members of the public interested in making a public comment, you may submit your name and information on the community of interest form. The link is available in the chat as well as on the CRC website. Please make sure that your Zoom display name is the same as the name you submitted to the communities of interest form. When you are called to make your public comment, you will be prompted to unmute your mic, or you will be able to unmute your mic so you can speak, and you may turn on your video if you're comfortable. You will have 2 minutes once you begin making your public comment. So the first we have Hancock Park, but currently there is no user in the room with that name. So if the user who submitted the public comment under Hancock Park can change their Zoom name, we can come back to that. Next, we have Alton Wang, and Alton Wang is currently not in the room. Next, we have Henry Perez. So Henry, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 2 minutes to make your public comment.
Oh, sorry, was trying to figure this out. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Hello, Los Angeles Redistricting Commission. My name is Henry Perez, and I am a stakeholder of Los Angeles County, and particularly in the unincorporated area of East Los Angeles, 90022 of District 1. I'm calling to talk about the East Side, East Los Angeles, and our communities of interest that are currently in Supervisorial District 2. These communities include East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, El Sereno, and Lincoln Heights. And it is important to ensure that this area, known as the Greater East Side of Los Angeles, remains unified, and that it remains unified under District 1. We would not like to be broken up and placed into other districts. These communities have a shared cultural history and legacy that make them a larger community of interest, and they should remain together with the rest of the current Supervisorial District 1. Our natural trajectory as East Side community is towards the eastern part of Los Angeles County, and we share a history and a connection with these eastern communities of Los Angeles County. So thank you very much for considering my public comment, and that's it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Henry. All right. Next, we have Jessica Panduro. Jessica, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 2 minutes to make your public comment.
Hello? Okay. Hey, commissioners, good evening. My name is Jessica Banduro. I'm a community organizer with Inner City Struggle, and I live in the city of LA. During the past 10 years, I have been going door to door in communities like East LA, Commerce, City Terrace, Boyle Heights, Lincoln Heights, El Sereno. And door after door, I heard many of the similar stories. Community members mention how housing is one of their main priorities because it has become really hard to make each month's rent. My community is an extremely hard working class where sometimes the paycheck is not enough. During the past 19 months, our communities were the essential workers with very low pay and no protection. The reason I mention this is because we were the most impacted. We saw our young people taking after-school jobs to help support their families and making ends meet. In East LA, all months in rent. We are an immigrant community with a lot of language barriers, and we have a technology gap. Through adversity, we have come together to demand and ensure that we establish renter protection, demand for resources to come into families with high need, and currently fighting to stay in our homes. And a lot of this was possible because we have a representative that listens to our needs and represents us at each level. From Washington Drive to Huntington Drive, from Boyle to Garfield, I have walked and talked to my neighbors to hear what are the issues that are impacting them the most. I am part of a community that has been in the shadows. Before Inner City Struggle, I was unaware of decisions that were being made for me. And today I'm here representing myself and many that are at work unaware of what's happening. And for this, I ask you commissioners to please keep the East Side, the areas that I mentioned, under District 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Next, we have Manjusha Kulkarni. Manjusha, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. If you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 2 minutes to make your public comment. Okay. You're currently muted.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Manjusha Kulkarni. I'm the Executive Director of the Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council, a coalition of over 40 community-based organizations serving and representing the 1.5 million Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in Los Angeles County, who make up 15% of the overall population. APCON is a member of 2 multiracial coalitions advocating for equitable representation for communities of color in state and local redistricting, the People's Bloc and the AAPI and AMEMSA State Redistricting Collaborative. These coalitions are submitting mapping proposals at state and local levels that represent and support African American and Latinx Voting Rights Act interests in keeping our AAPI communities of interest whole. In the Los Angeles area, AAPI communities of interest include Little Tokyo and Chinatown near downtown Los Angeles, Thai Town in East Hollywood and historic Filipino Town, and Koreatown in Mid-City, Cambodia Town in Long Beach, and a number of AAPIs in the San Gabriel Valley and South Asian communities in Cerritos and Artesia. More personally, I'm a resident of the neighborhood of Westchester, where I've lived for over 18 years. My community is bordered by Loyola Marymount University and is made up primarily by families with children living in single-family homes. With a population of 41,000, Westchester is a diverse community. Whites make up 52% of the community, Latinx and African American each constitute 17%, and Asian Americans make up 10%. Westchester should remain in its current supervisorial district, District 2, as it includes other similar communities such as Inglewood, Mar Vista, Culver City, as well as Hawthorne and Compton that are also diverse, but have significant numbers of individuals with high school diplomas and some college education. Thank you for hearing from me today. Having elected officials that represent our communities' diversity is important to me and ensures the needs of communities of color are understood and addressed.
Thank you, Manji.
Thank you. Next, we have Jasmine Castaneda. Jasmine, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. If you're comfortable, you may share your video as well. Once you begin speaking, you will have 2 minutes to make your public comments.
Hi, good afternoon or good evening, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you all. My name is Jasmine Castaneda and I am a Chirla member. I am a daughter to immigrant parents. My neighborhood, which I define as West Adams Pico Union, is located between Main Streets, between Washington and Vermont, and Adams and Vermont, which run north to south, and Adams and Normandy, and Washington and Hoover, which run west to east. I was born and raised in this neighborhood all my life, which has been 28 years. In my neighborhood, there's a lot of apartments, duplexes, multi-family houses, and small single family homes. The languages spoken in my community are primarily Spanish and English. The predominant race and ethnicity of my neighbors is Latino. However, it's been changing due to gentrification. The type of people who live in my community are low income, working class, and upper middle class. The type of work available to my community include factory workers, essential workers, such as nurses and grocery store employees. The largest employer in my community is Ralph's, and the types of community services available in my neighborhood are with Love Market and Cafe, the Children's Bureau, St. John's Well Child and Family Center. The type of resources that are offered through these community centers are low-cost health services, pantry boxes, and educational classes. We care about environmental justice and we need access to more green spaces for the community. Another issue that I've noticed is safety. I don't feel walking alone in my community, and we need investment in our community so we can have neighborhood safety groups to increase the safety of our neighborhood. Throughout all these years, I hadn't noticed a lot of changes in my neighborhood until roughly 2015, when I realized houses in my area were bought by corporations like TripleLink, which were then rented out to USC students permanently. It seems like nowadays my neighborhood caters more to the needs of USC students rather than individuals who have lived in the area for many years, including myself and my family. If it weren't for rent control, our landowner would have evicted my family and I. And in the past, my landowner's middleman has in some ways harassed us to move out for no reason. Luckily, that stopped, again, due to rent control, and other family members have gone through the same situation.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Jasmine. Next, we have
I think
Katia.
Commissioner Kenny's hand was up. Now it's down. Did you have a question, Commissioner Kenny?
No.
Okay, all right. Your mechanical hand was raised.
Next, we have Katia Garcia. Katia, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. If you're comfortable, you may share your video. When you begin speaking, you will have 2 minutes to make your public comments.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Katia Garcia, and I am a member of CHIRLA. I am also an immigrant from East Los Angeles. I lived in the community for over 18 years. East Los Angeles has been my home ever since my parents, sister, and I decided to migrate to the United States. My neighborhood is located between the 60 freeway on the east, the 1710 on the west side, and the 5 on the south side. A very popular street in my neighborhood is the iconic Whittier Boulevard, which really represents what East LA is all about. It's filled with small Latino-owned businesses. This is always a busy street for families to get their fresh raspados and shop for clothes. East Los Angeles is primarily a residential neighborhood. There are apartments and houses. The houses have added units to their property, which are rented at a price that are affordable to low-income families that live there. You see, East LA is a primarily immigrant community where families consist of mixed status families, meaning that one or more members are undocumented. My family is one of them. The languages spoken in East LA are mainly Spanish and English, with Spanish being the dominant language. The predominant ethnicity is Latino. The type of people who live in my community are low-income working class folk, like my parents, who have to work more than 10 hours a day to be able to make ends meet. Today, I came to ask you that when you consider the drawing of the new district boundaries to include East LA with Lincoln Heights, Boyle Heights, El Sereno, Commerce, Maywood, and Pico Rivera, and don't include East LA with communities in Monterrey Park, Montebello, and Chinatown. It's important that my community sticks together because we care about issues affecting immigrant families, access to education, access to healthcare, and workers' rights. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a hand from Commissioner Stetcher.
Quick request if you would repeat the list of communities again. You spoke quickly and I couldn't take notes that fast.
Yes, so the communities that I would like East LA to be with are Lincoln Heights, Boyle Heights, El Sereno, Commerce, Maywood, and Pico Rivera. And the ones that are very different from East LA are Monterey Park, Montebello, and Chinatown.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Marjorie Haslett. Marjorie, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. If you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 2 minutes to make your public comment.
Is this working now?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, commissioners. I live up in the Antelope Valley, Palmdale. We have a immensely large physically area for Supervisor Barger in District 5. We have been described as the minority of Los Angeles County because we're so vast and we only have one supervisor overlooking us. There's a big lighter shaded area in your map. If you're looking at it, there we go. No, you're not. You're only seeing part of it because the majority of the upper Los Angeles County is unincorporated area. I have the shaded map from another meeting, but in the center of the map, it's not showing what I'd like it to see. I'm not seeing what I want to see this time. I live in an unincorporated area that's surrounded by incorporated area. And there's several sections like that, and there's actually several miles wide and long. But someone had suggested that we have all the supervisors have a slice of the Antelope Valley. I would like to see at least 3 of the different supervisors have a piece of the Antelope Valley because many people do commute down the 14 freeway. That is how we're connected to the Los Angeles Basin. When we need better representation than just one supervisor who is often not supported by the other supervisors. And we are a large part of your county, of the LA County. As I said, many people do commute down and back. We would like to see better representation and support for our Supervisor 5. And yes, I'm still not seeing the area where I'd I'm still not seeing the area that I'd like to be seen.
Could you be more precise about what you want to see?
I attended one of the other meetings and I was given a handout. And it's the Los Angeles County Redistricting 2021. It was the handout. In approximately approximately page 5, there is a map that gives the US Census population is the heading of it. And it was shown at the other meeting that I'd attended here in the Antelope Valley.
So
And
Commissioner Vento lives in the Antelope Valley area. His hand is raised. Maybe he can help clarify.
Adri, what area do you live in?
I live over near the Antelope Valley Mall. There are several big neighborhoods that are several miles long and wide that are actually unincorporated.
Right.
So I have no access to the Palmdale City Council because I do not vote for them. And the meeting I attended back in August here at the Antelope Valley College, they said for the unincorporated areas that the supervisor acts as the mayor. And she's got such a huge area to cover that we're not being adequately represented up here. And she tries to go for things and we don't get the support from the rest of the county supervisors because they're just focused on theirs and they treat us as the unwanted stepchild.
So Major, do you live off of like Rancho Vista 30th Street, like that general area?
Towards that general area and heading east to the 14 freeway.
Got it. Okay. Are you east of the 14 or west of the 14?
I'm between the 14th and 30th West.
Got it. Okay, I know where you are. Okay, yeah, you're right. That is an unincorporated. Absolutely.
There are several large areas of unincorporated areas. That's just for here. I know there's other big unincorporated areas within the incorporated area.
Right. Yeah. So, Major, would you be willing to maybe potentially work together to put together a map of what you would think would be appropriate for the county?
Yeah, I know. I remember there was a speaker from the Pear Blossom Town Council back in August that was suggesting doing a vertical redistricting so the other supervisors could get an idea of what the Antelope Valley how it really consists of, because there are communities all over this unincorporated area that are just not showing on the map, but it's actually spread out quite a bit and significant populations out here.
Right.
So
willing to put together a map for us?
How would you like that done?
Commissioner Vento, can I just suggest?
Please, yes.
It's unfair to others who are limited to in their time to have one speaker, continue to take up the time. Please do provide us your mapping ideas, your community of interest ideas. Any input if you want to provide additional input, your own map, if you could find it, it would be fine. And please do provide that.
Thank you for your time here, but it was given on the handout that I received at the Antelope Valley College, and it was shown on the screen when I was at the AV College.
If I may, I think the map she's talking about is the pink and white map that was part of the presentation. It's on our website, and I do believe we have more speakers to move on to.
Yes.
But Marjorie, if you want to email me, I'd be happy to direct
Who are
you to the
you?
map. I am Gayla Hartso, and my email is, I'll put it into the chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Marjorie. So next we have Chris Rowe. Chris, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself. If you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 2 minutes to make your public comment.
Good evening, commissioners. I am not going to share my video this evening. What I wanted to speak to is I've attended numerous hearings with the city of Los Angeles, and I've listened also to a number of these county meetings. I had wanted to submit to you a map link that I just put into the Q&A that I drew for the city of LA. And the reason that that was important is because the mapping software for the city of LA allowed me to see just how many out of the 15 city of Los Angeles districts, how many were heavily Hispanic districts. And that's very important in the drawing of your lines, and particularly in the downtown area. The city of LA was drawing maps that I'm not happy with. For example, I live in the San Fernando Valley, and I've discussed that with you before. And they were drawing, basically in the San Fernando Valley, we would have about 5 to 6 districts in the valley, and at least 3 of them would be Hispanic districts. And one they were drawing down the middle, which was contrary to the explanation that Ms. Hartso has explained of how not to do a district. In my opinion, I'm trying to blend the districts, but still you end up with, say out of 15 districts, you end up with 6 out of the 15 for LA City that are primarily Hispanic districts. And so I will send that to you. I really support the concept of dividing the Antelope Valley into 2 districts. I'm rushing very fast, just like the last speaker, because there's 2 roads, the 15 and the 14, that can take you that way. And so dividing that might enable people from both sides of the mountain to help the people of the Antelope Valley. Thank you.
Thank you.
We currently have no other in queue to make a public comment.
Okay, I suggest we suspend the public hearing, go to the business of the commission, and see if anyone else appears to provide a public comment. We'll do that before we adjourn. What is the next item on the agenda?
I'm opening it up for you now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, the next item is an item 7A. Holly Watley, our legal counsel, will be providing an overview. The item is to consider adopting resolution authorizing hybrid and fully teleconference meetings of the commission for a 30-day period. Once she gives an overview, I can also share a different document that is a draft resolution she prepared.
Good evening, commissioners. This is something I forecast in our last meeting. With the recent passage of AB 361, this is going to allow each local legislative body to decide and make findings, if the evidence supports it, to enable them to continue to have remote meetings and suspending portions of the Brown Act that otherwise normally apply when we have a teleconferencing meeting. And just to flag those for you, those are that in the absence of continuing, making these findings and continuing it, we would need to be having our meetings in person. If a commissioner wanted to participate in a meeting by telephone or Zoom remotely, we would have to disclose the address from which that commissioner is participating, and that location would need to be open to the public. So a member of the public technically could show up and make public comment. Those rules were suspended by the governor when he declared a state of emergency and then issued a series of executive orders affecting a whole variety of laws and suspended that piece of the Brown Act. As I set forth in the written staff report, if you've had a chance to review it, AB 361 allows you to continue to meet remotely with those Brown Act rules suspended, provided the body adopts a resolution making findings that there remains an imminent threat to public health and safety, and if there are some local, state or local health officials making a recommendation regarding social distancing. I provided as exhibits to that staff report the governor's original emergency declaration, the current in effect state order from the state health officer regarding encouraging and recommending continued masking and social distancing, as well as the County of LA's similar order. And Gayla can put up on the screen the proposed resolution. This will be the first resolution that you will be adopting. When you finally get to the maps, you'll be adopting a resolution. And this is essentially the resolution authorizing hybrid or fully teleconference meetings of the commission for a 30-day period. AB 361 allows us to, the commission to continue it if every 30 days they make required findings. So this allows the commission to adapt to the kind of quickly changing nature of COVID and breakouts locally. And so that's what is before you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Mary Kenny. My computer just ran out of battery, so I'm no longer on the Zoom. The question is, when does the 30-day period begin?
Well, technically, we make the first meeting we hold, we need to make the findings within 30 days of the first meeting that we hold remotely. So we could make the findings today. And my recommendation would be that before those 30 days from today run out, I would make sure to work with Gayla that we brought continuing resolutions forward for consideration. We could also, if we miss that, we actually are entitled to make a new findings anew, if you will. They're just very slightly different than the findings needed for continuing, and I can just take care of it either way, how it goes.
Are there any other questions from commissioners for clarification from Holly? So I can't see the full slate, but Ties, are there any hands raised? If none, I would entertain a motion to adopt this resolution. Oh, I see Commissioner Holtzman. You're muted.
Muted. I'm sorry. No, I'm not muted. As the public health professional on this commission, I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared. I do believe we technically meet the requirements, and let's do it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Was that Commissioner Hyla Soto was seconded?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Ty, please take roll.
Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Commissioner Dorina Wong,
Yes.
Commissioner Jean Franklin,
Yes.
Commissioner David Holtzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mary Kenny,
Yes.
Co-Chair Daniel Maeda,
Aye.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza,
Move for approval.
Commissioner Apollonia Morales,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon,
Yes.
Commissioner Priscilla Orpanella Segura,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyla Soto,
Yes.
Commissioner Sider Soto,
Yes.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher,
Yes.
Commissioner John Bento,
Yes.
and Co-Chair Carolyn Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item.
So the next item is a continuation of the executive director report that I presented at our last meeting. And as you know, this is the time to synthesize the COI input. And on October 6th, we're going to be sharing the hypotheses you've been developing in your teams. The other component we wanted you to think about was how are you going to review submitted maps and define next steps? And as a quick sort of update, we do know the COI input is important input for building the blocks for your supervisorial districts. Tonight is the last public hearing for COI input. We have notified the public that we would like their input in by September 30th. We do know that you will be getting COI input throughout this process, which we will not turn away. Ty Valet has posted the following hub of maps that have been submitted to date, and they're now on our website. We just activated this today. And what you'll see here, if you scroll down, is all the submitted communities of interest maps we've received to date.
Gayla, I believe we're still seeing your PowerPoint.
Okay, well, that's too bad because I put a click here in. Let me activate it this way. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so at the top, you'll see County of LA submitted maps and plans. And then when you scroll down, you'll see what maps we've received to date. So the first ones are all communities of interest maps received. And then you'll see preliminary supervisory district maps where they've drawn all 5 and even a hand-drawn map. So this is what we've received to date. We do not know that how many maps we're going to get when we activate the official software. I mentioned to you before that the experience in Utah was 10 years ago, they had about 30 maps submitted. When they launched the cloud-based software, which made it more user-friendly to build maps, they got over 300. So before you is an updated executive director report and a couple of the highlights in it, just so that we all have that same information, are basically 3 options. In all 3 options put before you, it's going to be absolutely the same November and December. Come November, the full commission will conduct the public hearings. They have to be done 30 days apart. I mean, over a 30-day period. You'll get reactions to the maps you've developed. You will be able to make modifications during that 30-day period, and you can work with ArcBridge to do that. Also, by December 15th, the full commission must adopt the final map. Where the differences are really has to do with the month of October. So in both options 1 and 2, the possibility would be to establish a new ad hoc work group on mapping to perform the task. In both options 1 and 2, we have suggested now limiting it up to 7 commissioners because of the questions raised last week about Brown Act. Those commissioners who are interested should let the co-chairs know of their interests. Where these differ is that basically in both of options 1 and 2, the ad hoc working group works with Arcbridge to define the themes of how to bundle the maps, prepare these groups of maps along the lines of these themes, and then bring them forth to the commission for consideration. We believe this is going to take some time to do. Where options 1 and 2 differ have to do with the last week in October. In option 1, the last week in October, the ad hoc work group would be the ones who would develop options for you to consider as a full commission. In option 2, the full commission would come up with what options they want to put forth. The third option is basically the full commission does all of the work. And we would estimate based on the number of maps that could start out with 1 meeting a week, but as the numbers of maps increase, it could increase to 2 or 3 meetings per week. So I just want to make you aware of those are the options before you. There may be others. These seem to be the most logical ones to start with. And
Are there questions of clarification for Gayla? So I take it by silence, Ty, that there are no hands raised.
I currently do not see any hands raised.
Let's open it up for public comment then. Are there any commenters who wish to comment on this item?
there are none in this room.
And we do have one hand via Zoom. We have Chris Rowe for this item. So Chris, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself. If you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin making your public comment for this item, you will have 2 minutes.
Yes, hello, it's Chris Rowe again. So as you know, I just really, one of the things I think needed to be clarified was the population of the San Fernando Valley. I think I heard it was 1.8 million at the last meeting I attended.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Ms. Rowe, do you have a comment that relates to this particular agenda item?
Yes, what I'd like to support is the ad hoc breakout group. And that I think that if you divide the work maybe by district area or something, it would ease the workload and then bring it back together toward the end of the month for the joint full board to do it. As I said, I've been working a great deal with the LA City software. I'm looking forward to better software because I had trouble with yours. And so it's just very, very important to me that it's divided appropriately based on the testimony I saw from one of the UCLA professors, I believe a while back, and based on the Callan virus screen data that I've mentioned to you historically. And I apologize for not sending you my screenshots of that, but I hear the people, and especially today where they were downtown LA and everything, and in the Antelope Valley. So I just really want your job to be what it is, independent. I am so proud of you and thankful to you for being independent. And again, I support breaking into an ad hoc group that is Brown Act compliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there are currently no other commenters for this item.
Okay. Are there, yes, I see Commissioner Stetcher.
I'm looking at the calendar and it's a little bit frightening. If I understand this correctly, the software with the updated data are likely to be available October 6th, not before. And the last week of October, when we're supposed to be voting on our tentative choices to share with the public, begins on the 26th. So we have roughly 2.5 weeks to take the input and input from ourselves and create maps. I don't think it's likely we're going to be able to do this as a full group and have enough meetings in that short period of time. So I think either of the first two options are probably more effective.
Commissioner Holtzman.
I'm of the opposite mind. I think that adding an ad hoc whatever into the mechanism at this point adds an extra layer of complexity, extra steps, and gives too much power to a subset of the commissioners. I think at this point, it's better governance for us to proceed as a committee of the whole once we start receiving maps. That this ad hoc, mishegas, whatever you want to call it, bad news to me, bad idea, and I urge no votes on either of the first two ideas. Let's just do the work.
I have a comment.
Commissioner Mary Kenny is not available she's here in the room and she has a comment. So she can't raise her hand because she's not on the screen.
Okay, so
And
we
then
have
Commissioner Wong.
and then Commissioner Mendoza after Commissioner Wong.
Go ahead, Mary.
Okay. I think that there is a tremendous amount of expertise that every member of the commission has developed in reviewing these comments. And I guess I'm sympathetic to Commissioner Holtzman's comments that I'm not sure exactly what the subcommittee would do that option 3 couldn't accomplish in an efficient manner. I would request that if the commission decides to have the subgroup, that there be one member from each district on the subgroup and one member from each of the working groups that we had for the communities of interest, so that we could have the maximum expertise of the commission available to those 7 commissioners. Thank you.
Commissioner Wong, then Commissioner Mendoza, then Co-Chair Maeda.
Yes, and I apologize. Perhaps I should have actually asked for clarification because it went by so quickly. I didn't have time to actually read it. It's not as clear to me what the difference in the timing for 1 and 2 is, because it does seem like the number 2 may be a good compromise between having a kind of a more efficient kind of a screening process and then having the full commission kind of make kind of the final decisions around the mapping options, because I do worry. Just imagine when we were trying to do these community of interest maps and how much that took, and we divided it up into 5 groups, and it still took a couple of weeks to do. So I do think, having a smaller group, at least to screen, do kind of the screening, and then bring in the full commission, after we at least have a smaller subset of maps. It kind of makes sense to me.
Commissioner Mendoza, then Co-Chair Maeda.
Yes, thank you. To only have up to 7 of the commissioners, which is half of the group, participate, and I don't know offhand if more want to. I don't think it's a good idea. This is heavy lifting. I subscribe to the adage that you want to go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go together. Well, unfortunately, we have to go fast and far. And I guess I'm not following the logic. We have a lot of work, so let's have fewer people do it. To me, that's not logical. I think that if we have the full commission participate with the co-chairs overseeing, presiding over the team, if you will, I think that we can be very effective in getting things done. And I'm guessing that the thought is that if we have a full commission working on this, that maybe it would bog things down. But given what I've seen of late and what I've learned about as Commissioner Kenny points out, we have a lot of expertise, and I think everybody could add value in the process in doing this. Thank you.
Co-Chair Maeda.
Let me try to explain the theory behind this, because I was definitely involved in this proposal. Whenever we have a meeting with more than 7 commissioners or more than, up to 9 commissioners or more, such as a regular meeting, there's a lot that goes into conducting those meetings that takes up a lot of time. We spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes doing stuff that we wouldn't have to do, that the ad hoc group doesn't have to do. So when the ad hoc group, if it meets and 7 or less, does not have to have public comment in general or about anything specific. If we're concerned about transparency, we can tape those. That's still a possibility. But they get to do work separate and apart from having to do a lot of the things that are required whenever we have a public meeting. So there's a lot of time savings there. Second, every commissioner still gets to draw their own maps. They get to submit maps to the working group. They get to bring maps to the full commission at our regular meetings. We're still going to have regular meetings of the commission, the full commission. But this allows a smaller group to more efficiently process what could be hundreds of maps from the public, as well as maps that other commissioners are drawing up. And to, for instance, group them, say, these are all the maps that we found that relate in some way to the San Gabriel Valley. These are the ones that relate to the San Fernando Valley, et cetera. And that kind of grouping, I think, by itself is very beneficial. We could do it as a full commission. We could probably do one region every meeting as a full commission. I don't see us doing any better than that, frankly. We're not the most efficient group to decide these large issues. And if we're looking at 40 maps or 100 maps, 300 maps, I just can't see us doing it unless we're having a meeting 3 or 4 times a week in October. And I don't think we're up for that. I don't think we're going to get a quorum for having that many meetings. So I suggest we put together a 7-member or less commission. Again, anyone could submit input, even if they're not on that working group. And so you're not being cut out of anything, and you'll have opportunities, because this working group is not going to do things in secret and private and then spring something on us at the last week of October. They're going to be reporting every time we meet as a commission. So we'll be able to see their work, and we'll see if it makes sense, or we'll be able to, redirect it as a full commission if we need to. But that's the idea. And I think Commissioner Wong's suggestion that we do option 2, where the working group is not the one to suggest the maps, but the full commission suggests the maps. That's fine with me. I still think that the working group could do a lot of work as a committee of the whole. I mean, as a committee of the commission.
We have Co-Chair Williams and Commissioner Holtzman, then Commissioner Morales.
Yes, I guess when we've had a chance to talk this over, the co-chairs had a discussion, and I guess my concern, and I'm thinking about what Commissioner Stetcher said, if we've got 2.5 weeks and we've got the whole commission meeting, and we're having 2 to 3 meetings each week, requiring a quorum for us to move ahead, and knowing how efficient or lack of, how much conversation it takes. I just go back to working on the hypotheses and what that looked like in each group, and think about the number of maps we will have to process. So my concern is being realistic. When you set a goal, you have to be smart, you have to be something that's attainable. I think if we try to do this as a whole group, I just don't see us being able to accomplish this in the next, 2.5 to even 4 weeks. I think it's going to be difficult. I did like the suggestion that Commissioner Kinney had, where, how do we bring in the expertise of the members of the commission? Because we've each had an opportunity to look at the community input and then to create some hypotheses. So we would have some ideas of what some of these maps would look like. So it's just a matter of how do we select the members of that working group. So I just want to, again, to back up what Co-Chair Maeda said, and also try to be realistic about what we want to do as a group.
Also, if I may, I know we have a limitation on what time we have to be out of the public library for the meeting today. And I believe we could go possibly another 15 minutes. I'm sort of looking to Twyla Kerr and also to Abraham. If we were to go till 9:15, can you still pack up your equipment to get out in time? Does that work for you folks as well? I'm getting an okay that we can go for about another 15 minutes. So I think we should take the next two questions of clarification, see if there's a motion. If not, we'll have to either continue it or come up, decide how to proceed.
So Commissioner Morales?
Yeah, I'm inclined to lean more towards option 1 and 2. I don't have enough time to be doing 2 to 3 meetings a week, honestly. I am not retired. I have a full-time job, and a lot of things are going on top of this commission. And so efficiency is the name of the game for me. My more clarifying question is like the makeup, right? Who's expressed interest and whatnot, who would consist of this ad hoc working group? And then just in terms of reporting out, like, however many times folks are going to be meeting or whatever the case may be, we've narrowed down, we have some questions about this particular hypothesis, like those are like back and forth, I think would be helpful in explaining how that would work with the rest of the commission.
We have Commissioner Orpanela-Segura, then Commissioner Franklin, and Commissioner Holtzman.
Thank you. I am hopeful that we can try to consider a motion today, because I think postponing to the next meeting will really hurt our deadlines. I'm supportive of option 2. I think that's a good compromise between having an ad hoc and giving the full commission an opportunity. So I really encourage my fellow commissioners to try to make a motion happen tonight so that our deadlines are not impacted.
Commissioner Franklin?
Yes, I'm in agreement with option 2 as well. However, I would also like, and I don't know if Commissioner Hyla Soto has volunteered to be on this committee, but having the opportunity to work with him on our team, I think he would be a great addition to the subgroup.
Commissioner Holtzman?
All right, just a couple of comments in response to what I've heard. First of all, in terms of wasting time, if it's a special meeting with the short notice we get with special meetings, I point out a couple of things. One, first of all, the chairs have had us waste 15, 20 minutes, a half an hour before every one of these meetings by making us sit through the same slide presentation about redistricting every time. I think it's kind of rich for the chairs to be worried about wasting time in a meeting by having to take public comments now after subjecting us to that. Second of all, we'll have more time at the public meetings because A, we won't be in time-constrained physical spaces. When we used to be able to meet till 10, no problem. Our library reservations for some reason seem to be ending at 9. We won't have any constraints like that. We could go late. People can go late. People on this commission signed up to do the work. We have work to do, and you made a commitment to our fellow commissioners and the public to do it. Just because you don't want to have enough meetings to get it done doesn't mean that you hadn't committed to do it. We can make the meetings go longer. If you want them to be fewer, don't even have to cut off at 10. It could keep going. We can have a structured process for considering the maps, and that's fine by me. But let's not make it a thing where, we have to save commissioners' precious time. These couple of months are the time that we said we would put in a lot of time. So we got to do it. And finally, look, I still am concerned about an ad hoc, a small group, conveying too much power to its members relative to the other commissioners. So if we do end up establishing some sort of committee as proposed, let's ensure that none of the people who developed the proposal are on this ad hoc committee. Let's make sure it's done independently of the people who developed the proposal, so it won't look like the people who developed the proposal were creating a structure to enhance their own power. Thank you.
Commissioner Orpanela Segura.
I saw Commissioner Mendoza's hand go up before. Not sure if we want to take his comment first.
Sorry about that, Commissioner Mendoza.
Oh, no, please go ahead. I'll go after.
I was going to ask if everyone has had a chance to give their feedback, if we could entertain a motion, but I know that Commissioner Mendoza does have feedback too.
Okay. Did I understand correctly, Gayla, that you had invited maps to be submitted by the public no later than the 30th of September, or did I get that wrong?
No, you're going to be getting maps from the public all the way probably up to December 15th. What you have on the hub are preliminary maps. These were submitted prior to the official census data. They're conceptual, but every single map that's submitted will be posted on the hub. Once people are submitting using the official census data, it will be then tested. You'll know that they have equal population and they've met the minimum requirements. All of it will be available. ArcBridge should do the initial legwork in grouping maps around some themes. But my understanding, talking to my counterparts at other commissions, is it's very important that there be thought and feedback given to whoever the demographer is. Are these the appropriate themes? Do these bundles look appropriate? What's the best way this information can be presented to the full commission for you, so you can think about it in a thoughtful way? So that was the only reason why the ad hoc working group was proposed. You as a commission will have the opportunity to see every single map. You can challenge what combinations are put forth. But really from October let's say October 6th, 7th with the official software, the official census, that's when we're going to start really having to look at the maps as they come in great detail for consideration.
Commissioner Mendoza, I think the September 30th was, we request that the public provide its community of interest input by that date, but in fact, they can provide it at any date, just like the maps. They can provide the maps up until our very deadline.
Okay, understood.
Commissioner Orpanela, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I haven't finished we need to move quickly, and there's a lot of work to do. So at this point in time, how many maps are there for whomever is going to do it to review at this point in time?
So the number of preliminary maps I just put up, they're not that many at this point. What we don't know is once the official database is launched, how many there will be. So what we've been told by ESRI, the software company, was 10 years ago, a state like Utah got 30 maps. 10 years ago, Los Angeles County had about 30 legitimate maps that they could really look at in detail. If it's 30, you could probably do it as a full commission. What worries me, which is why I want you to be prepared, is Utah, when they went to the online model with the cloud, they got over 300 maps. So you basically have to begin to look at them in a very integrated way. These are all the maps around San Gabriel Valley. These are the maps that sort of split the North County. These are the ones that keep it together. So it's that process that this working group could look at what ArcBridge bundles and says, these make sense. Let's take them forward to the commission. here are some maps that didn't meet the criteria, here are some maps that are outliers. But to come up with a thoughtful way to present it to the full commission for consideration.
Right. Now, I understand having contingency and an approach to the work, it's very important, but we're proceeding on the basis that there are going to be a number of maps, so many maps that we need fewer people to do it so we don't get bogged down. And right now, there aren't very many maps. In other words, if the group, again, whomever it consists of, was constructed and constituted and starting work next week, what do they have? Half a dozen maps?
And it may be very minimal going forward, in which point I would suspect they would say, let's take them all forward.
Well, I would say that's one option, but the reason why the full commission isn't doing it because of the volume that's anticipated, which we haven't yet seen. So I guess that's my concern.
Commissioner Orpinella Segura, were you planning to make a motion?
I have a question.
Okay.
For the co-chairs. This presentation doesn't address the work that we have just done to create these communities of interest themes. And the proposal does talk about themes, but the question that I have is, what is the purpose of us developing these community of interest themes if they're not going to be used to evaluate the maps?
They absolutely will be
The
used.
question is for the co-chairs.
All right.
No, but I think the community of interest hypotheses that we looked at will be used to look at the maps that we receive, but maps will be created looking at the themes that we've looked at. So that will be part of the process as we move forward. And one of the questions I have when Gayla was talking is that those will be maps that we'll be using too. I think there will be maps we'll get from the public, but there'll be maps that we've generated based on the communities of interest. We'll be able to look at that to see how they fit. So that's how I'm looking at it. I'm not a demographer. We didn't go through all of that piece in our discussion. Our initial discussion is, how do we start this process?
Well,
makes the most sense as we start to look at the maps we're getting, in addition to using the input that we've developed.
So ArcBridge is going to take the community of interest themes that we've developed and they're going to create their own maps based on the communities of interest.
I'm sorry, it was addressed to me as well, so let me respond. On October 6th, Gayla is going to compile each team's community of interest hypotheses and present it to us in a staff report. We'll all look at it. It'll be a regular commission or a special commission meeting. We'll all look at it and we'll be able to see what the themes are, if any. Hopefully there'll be some commonalities, and we'll be able to say to ArcBridge, as a commission, we direct ArcBridge to begin developing maps along these lines, and then give ArcBridge some input into starting to develop map ideas for us to eventually create maps of our own. But that would be one way in which we would use these community of interest maps. I mean, hypotheses.
Thank you.
Okay.
So there's 3 minutes left. I don't know if we're ready. I don't know if we're ready to vote. I mean, is there a feeling like more discussion is required before we vote on this?
On a personal level, I'm ready to move forward, but if the sentiment of the full commission is that we need additional time, then we need additional time. But if we're ready to entertain a motion, I am able and ready to present.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I should raise my hand. I guess I'm wondering if at this time we could get a sense from all the commissioners where they might be leaning to see if we can get to consensus, because I agree with Commissioner Orpinella Segura that we should make a decision if we can tonight.
And I saw Commissioner Mendoza's hand up too.
So Commissioner Mendoza, then Commissioner Holtzman.
Yeah, these communities of interest, as there's been discussions myself, with the other team member, Commissioner Vento, and we have further discussion that will take place, and we've talked to Gailey as well. We're hearing from 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, and we're representing 10 million people. So if we're going to take what 100 or 200 people say, whatever the number happens to be, and say ArcBridge draw maps based on what these people say, I thought there's other considerations that are supposed to be taken into other facets of what we're doing, taken into consideration, other elements.
There are other elements. There's lots of data that is being looked at that will be taken into consideration when the maps are done. I think David Ely mentioned some of it, but it's not just the communities of interest. That's an important piece, but there are other data that we'll use as we start to look at the maps and create maps. So it's not just that, yeah.
Is there anyone else, any other commissioner who has not yet spoken who would like to comment before we adjourn this meeting? So we are at 9:15. Ty, has anyone, member of the public, come forward to want to speak on a public hearing?
No, there are no new names.
I suggest we not try to force a vote, since there obviously are a number of concerns still remaining. And Commissioner Mendoza is correct that at this point we are not overwhelmed by maps, although I have to say we really have not invited the public to submit maps based on their data, which, our data is not complete yet. So we've been telling them, begin to play around with it, but save your shape files, et cetera. Don't submit us the full maps because it's not available yet. So once we do that, I do anticipate that there'll be a lot. But in any event, please consider how you want this to go. And if you were really prepared, 9 or more of us 3 times a week, then let's consider doing that. But I think that's a bad idea. In any event,
sorry.
Yes.
I'm not sure if the public comment period has been closed yet, but we do have a hand in the public.
Okay, let's take that final public comment before we adjourn.
So we have John Mendoza with their hand up. John Mendoza, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. You will have 2 minutes to make your public comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was involved in I live out here in the city of Pomona. I was involved in a few redistricting commission meetings. One with the water district and also with the school district. And I just said we relied a lot on consultants to bring forth all the information, all the data and everything, and the map considerations. And like we said before, you could have a lot of maps drawn, and whether they're going to fit the criteria and so forth. I just think it's a lot of work on each of the members to do, go through all the data and everything. And I would rely a lot more on the consultants, and then so they have all the data and so forth. That's just my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Ty, is there any additional public comment?
There are no additional public comments.
The public hearing is now closed. Anything else before we adjourn for the good of the order? And we are adjourned because the library needs to close. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
And
you.
if
Have
you
a good
haven't-
evening. Thank you. Good night.
Good evening, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.